Eren-sama, it's morning already. Rem called as she stood in front of the man sprawled out on his bed. Rem knows that Eren-sama told her not to wake him this morning, but he will miss breakfast at this rate. As expected, the blue-haired maid's waiting was for naught. The blonde only retreated deeper into his snuggle fortress. Eren-sama. She called again, louder this time, mindful of keeping out of grabbing distance. Please wake up, breakfast will be served within the hour. Zzz. Zzz. Rem allowed herself to sigh, of course it won't be this easy. She should have seen it coming. Whenever the servant actually did sleep and it was a chore to wake him up. This time though she came prepared. She swiftly fetched her secret weapon from a corner of the room. A moderately long stick. Have at thee, cheek-pinching knight. Poke. Poke. Eren-sama, it's time to wake up. Rem said unceasingly, jabbing at his ribs. Please wake up, breakfast will start soon. Poke. Poke. Eren let out a groan, a searching hand snatching at thin air, finding nothing. Poke. Poke. Eren-sama. The man's nostrils flared as a louder groan escaped his mouth. Ngggh stretching his shoulders and neck slowly, his eyelids began to move, green eyes blinking as they adjusted to the bright morning light. His dazed eyes glanced to the ceiling for a moment before shifting down, trying to see what was bothering him. His gaze locked onto the staff that poking him, following it, he was greeted by the sight of a smiling Rem. Good morning Eren-sama. She greeted kindly. Eren's face was expressionless as he stared at the blue Oni. His hands slowly started reaching for Rem, who took a swift step back. Not giving up, Eren began to crawl on his bed, slowly, relentlessly closing the distance. He tried reaching out once again, but the maid took another step back, a teasing smile firmly locked onto her features. His body lifelessly fell back onto the mattress. Eren-sama, please don't fall asleep again. Rem said with sigh when she noticed the man stopped moving. She raised her stick again, carefully aiming to deliver another poke. Got you. A desperate lunge, a last chance to reach his price. Nope. Foiled. The maiden playfully danced out of his reach, avoiding his pounce just in time. She continued to smile in amusement as he crashed face first back onto the bed. A cute giggle slipped past Rem's lips, she couldn't help it. The serious proud lion was reduced to a adorable clumsy little cub before her very eyes. No matter how often she saw him like this, she could never believe it. This was the very reason why she kept waking him up herself. Despite the constant risk of stinging cheeks, she would not give this up for anyone, not even her Ne-sama. She found the sight the mighty Eren Pendragon gave in the mornings to be highly entertaining. It really was a comical sight if you lived with him on an everyday basis. He looked perfect, sharp, like an untouchable role model to everyone around him. To see that kind of man behave like this. Eren-sama, quickly clean yourself, breakfast will be ready. Rem said once again as she walked to the exit while looking at his sprawled out form. Yeah, sure thing. He mumbled. The pseudo-saber slowly lifted his hand, bracing himself on the mattress. He tried pushing himself up and... Suddenly the pseudo-saber lost all his strength, a stinging sensation in his arm sending his face smashing back into the covers. Gay. Rem turned around and shot a curious look at the blonde Eren-sama. I'm awake. He replied, voice muffled by the bed. Sure. Rem gave Eren one last look as he finally pushed himself up. Still amused by the show, she left the room to resume her duties. Meanwhile Eren, who was finally awake, yawned and glanced down at his arms, dazed eyes narrowed in thought. He clenched and unclenched his fist repeatedly as if trying to discern something. I must be imagining things. Clang. 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 Sounds of metal rapping against glass echoed in the dining room as my knife slipped through my fingers. I stared at my hand with narrowed eyes. It kept twitching, shaking, and even felt a bit numb. I tried balling it to a fist, but it was to no use. My body did not obey my commands, instead sending a spike of pain surging through my hand, making me grit my teeth in reflex. It was not just my hands that were a mess, it seemed. My ribs, thighs, legs, shoulders, and even my back, I can feel them shaking, light spasms rocking my frame. My arms still seemed to be affected the worst though. Okay, so this morning was not only my imagination. Eren? I looked up to catch Emilia's and Rem's concerned expressions, of course they would notice. Rem remained impassive as usual, but was observing me with narrowed eyes. Hell, even Puck and Beatrice glanced at me with one eye while eating their food. At least Roswell wasn't here. He had an early breakfast and left to do God knows what. Probably hiring someone to mess with my peace and quiet again, or maybe even just doing his job as court magician. Hopefully it was the latter, makeup wearing pain in my ass. Yes? I asked on reflex, my eyes though remained locked onto my twitching left hand. Are you okay? I'm fine. I answered. Okay, maybe not completely fine. I added when noticing the look she gave me. It seems last night I pushed myself a tad too hard. I confessed. Last night I was testing my new, let's call it technique. Since I was obviously still very much lacking in skills, I decided to try using raw strength to compensate. And while the result is indeed as satisfying as I expected, the backlash it seems is nothing to scoff at. This also happened back when I used Strike Air, Hammer of the Wind King against the pack of Woolgarm in the forest, however the numbness was not this extreme. All I felt was sore here and there, but this. It has been several days since the Woolgarm incident, almost a week to be precise. My life in the manor has become way more enjoyable to say the least. I don't need to keep an eye on everyone anymore, save for Roswell. Not being constantly afraid of getting ambushed does wonders for my nerves. I don't have to worry about much anymore, now that I got accepted as a regular resident. Even Beatrice is getting used to my presence. While we are still not on speaking terms, mainly because I really don't know how to approach her in the first place, she at least does not nag at me anymore when I visit the library. I mean, she still glares at me but, hey. Improvements. Baby steps count, right? Ne-sama, it seems Eren-sama's muscles and bones have finally reached their limits. Rem, it seems Eren-sama's body finally refuses to be abused anymore. I can hear you too. I said aloud while giving them a mock glare. And just for your information, it's neither refuses to be abused, nor reached their limits. If they did then I would be in bed now and have breakfast there. I shook my head and let out a mocking sigh. Seriously, you two need to properly construct your sentences before just spouting them out. Especially you, Ram. That's rich coming from someone who thought nobody would notice anything wrong after dropping his fork. Ram deadpanned. That's rich coming from someone who tries to lie and hide something this obvious. Rem added with the same flat look her sister showed. Alright, they got me in there, point for them. But 2, or rather 3, can play that game. And it's even richer coming from someone who doesn't even know the meaning if being polite, much less knows the proper decorum when serving a guest. I looked at Ram specifically there, obviously hinting at how she missed Emilia at our first meeting. Basing my argument on things that happened such a long time ago might be considered petty. Meh, who cares? I am plenty petty when I want to be. I caught Ram's eye twitch slightly at my comeback. She opened her mouth to respond and... Betty does not in the least care for your petty arguments. Please don't bother me with your nonsense, I suppose, Beatrice cut in with an irritated look. It hurts Betty's delicate ears. She added in a haughty tone of voice. The pink one's mouth snapped shut. I accepted her fierce glare with a smug grin. It may be unfinished, but I did get the last word in. Point for me. Eren, 1, Ram, 0 for today. By the gods, you 3. Emilia commented with a mixture of exasperation and amusement. It never ceases to amaze me how anything you 3 talk about can turn into a debate. It as if they were born to argue until they die. Puck agreed with a chuckle, go Eren. Go twins. He cheered as he produced flags with our faces on them out of nowhere. Eren is in the lead for today though. He added as he raised flag with my face higher. You see Ram? I asked in smug voice, the Great Spirit knows who is superior. I know it was a compliment but somehow I don't like the way you put it. Puck deadpanned at me. Ram doesn't know what Eren-sama is talking about, but she would like to remind Eren-sama that losing is not in Ram's dictionary. Ram said sharply. We shall see, Ram. I replied with amusement, getting a feeling of déjà vu, we shall see. Ram wrinkled her nose. By the way, Eren-sama can stop trying to change the topic. She added as she gave me a look. Diverting from the issue at hand by going into the usual spiel, how sly of you Eren-sama, as expected from someone with 2 faces. Ahaha, damn it, I noticed Emilia blink before her gaze sharpened into a glare directed at me. I felt my left eye twitch at Ram, she was radiating smugness right now. And that's a point for Ram. Puck raised the flag with Ram's face. As expected from Ne-sama. She effortlessly caught Eren-sama's hidden intentions. Rem praised her sister with a smile. Eren, 1, Ram, 1. TSK, alright woman, I will concede this point to you. Eren, are you really okay? Emilia asked again. I can check if you wish, Puck can also help. No, it's fine. I answered while waving my hand. I already can feel the numbness fading, it doesn't matter if it returns later. I know what is wrong with me. I sighed. Emilia blinked. You do? Yes, what happened to me? Let's just say I have seen it happen to someone else in the past. I informed as my mind drifted to certain scene and conversation. You're fortunate. Archer commented as he inspected Shiro's back. I was expecting necrosis. He pushed the body slightly, making the young man hiss in pain. But something that was closed has been opened. Something that was closed has been opened? Shiro asked through sweat. Circuits you were meant to use from the beginning had grown dormant from neglect. Archer answered. The numbness is only temporary. By suddenly flooding circuits you never used with prana at full power, you sent them into a state of shock. This means that the circuits have returned to an active state. He explained to his younger self. I stared at my numb hand with a perplexed look. Saber, as I recalled, doesn't have magic circuits, rather she has a magic core. I don't know how that works other than it creating magical energy, which explains why Saber is highly resistant to magic and has such a large amount of mana, but I'm sure I shouldn't suffer a backlash as severe as this. No. It was actually to be expected for this kind of thing to happen in first place. Unlike Saber, who used her power ever since she was young, I just started using mine recently. My body must not be accustomed to the amount of mana I used to boost it yet. While it is true that I got the body of Arthur Pendragon, my soul is still my own. It must not yet have completely mixed, for the lack of a better word. Some of my parameters do not fully match up with Saber's original ones. My magic resistance is only ranked B instead of A for 1. I clenched my hand to stop the shaking, trying to suppress the pain. With this amount of damage I likely won't be able to train today. I need to rest for 1 or 2 days, I don't want to permanently injure myself. A day should probably be enough if I rest in the garden, the lesser spirits will take care of my fatigue. This means, if I were to use Excalibur, there are very real chance I won't be able to move straight for a few days, maybe even lost consciousness. Not to mention the pain that would come afterwards. Yeah, not looking forward to that. It can't be helped though, I'll just need to get used to this condition as soon as possible. I'll have to continue pushing myself as soon as I recover to get my body used to being boosted by large amounts of mana. It seems I won't be able to train for a few days. I mused aloud with a sigh. What a shame, this is clearly a hindrance. However, I guess it's not entirely bad. Yesterday's results were more than satisfying. If this continues to work I will have better chances at defeating people with more skill and experience than myself. Betty would be surprised if you could move like yesterday after what you did, I suppose. Beatrice commented with a snort. You use mana way too carelessly. Truthfully, Betty still wonders how you managed to get up at all today. Emilia's face quickly turned horrified. Eren. Let me check on you right now. She demanded. It's not that extreme. I defended myself in an instant, hands raised in a placating manner. True, I used mana more than ever before, but I'm fine, really. Regardless, I still want to check on you after this. Emilia insisted with a demanding look. I stared at her. For a moment I was really tempted to just flat out refuse. However, I'm sure it would only cause problems if I refused her. When Subaru kept rejecting her it did not end well for him. Even if my reasons might be very different, it might still cause unnecessary friction. Fine, we'll go to your room after breakfast then. Or do you prefer the garden? I resigned myself to her doting. I don't really have a choice not without being a jerk at least. You know, thinking about it, this is the first time for me to visit your room. Eren commented as he looked around. Is that so? Emilia blinked, tilting her head. Now that you mention it, you're right. Usually we talk in the garden or your own room. Well, I don't mind the change of scenery. Eren shrugged. Emilia's room is actually bigger than his. While the design is same, there is extra space for a bookshelf and a table for studying. He took note of a pile of documents and a few books littering the table's surface. It does make sense though, you are a woman after all. I'm surprised you brought me here instead of meeting in the garden. What does me bringing you here have to do with me being a woman? Eren gazed at her flatly for a few seconds before shaking his head. Yeah, I should not be surprised at you asking that. He said with sigh. Listen Emmy, next time you should not bring me to your room so easily. He lectured, no, it more like, you can't bring men here, not if there's nothing urgent. What? Emilia seemed shocked. Why? Because it's improper. Aaron answered dully. And no, you do not need to know the reason. I will tell you when you are older. He added when the half-elf opened her mouth. But I'm already older than you. Emilia protested, she was over 100 years old technically. In here then. Aaron poking her forehead with index and middle fingers, making the girl let out a small yelp. Wait until you matured in there. Do not complain, even Pukdano is going to agree with me on this. You only can bring men to your room if they are important or close to you. The silver-haired girl rubbed her forehead and shot him a look, I don't understand what you're trying to say, but fine. She said, resigned. But why can't I bring you here then? She asked, her face showing hesitation and fear. We are friends, right? She sounded nervous when asking this, as if afraid of being rejected. Aaron of course noticed this and quickly tried to reassure her. Yes Emmy, we are friends, and that won't change. He said kindly. He could see the girl's relief, tension visibly leaving her body. However that does still not merit dash. Then it's fine Aaron, really, you are being irrational. Aaron's palm met his face. She was the last person he wanted to hear that from. Then again, really does not have many friends, she was always alone. He could not really argue with her. She really must consider him as someone special, she does not have many she is close to. Besides, it's not like he did not like being close to her. Emilia was beautiful. What man would not enjoy the attentions of such a pretty girl? Not to mention she is also kind as well, and Aaron won't deny that he found her attractive. However in this case, this attractive and kind girl just happens to house a spirit that can flash freeze a whole village. A spirit bound to her soul, a living guardian that can detect emotions. And when a guy was alone with a girl in her room, what do you think will cross his mind? Yeah, you get it. Fortunately for him, right now, Bubby is spending time with Betty, I suppose. You're trying to divert my attention again. Emilia glared. Now sit in bed and let me check on you. She ordered while pointing to the bed. Yes, your majesty. Aaron complied. Humph. Emilia made a haughty face as she approached him. You should be grateful. To have someone of my stature personally devoting my time on you. The ensuing silence was soon broken by their giggling and chuckling. The blonde shook his head. So, how do we do this? Ah, right. Emilia looked him up and down. Where do you feel numb? Shoulders, lower arms, chest. My thighs as well, however it's worst in those 3 places. Alright then. Emilia scooted closer to Aaron. Hands raised, she touched the man's back. Aaron, can you remove your shirt? Huh? Yeah, sure. Aaron removed his coat and stripped his shirt off, placing them both on his bed leaving him bare-chested. Seeing the man's body once again Emilia couldn't help it. Her mind drifted back to the other day and she felt the heat creep up her cheeks. What is this feeling? For some reason she felt nervous, almost giddy. Her heart started beating faster. Let's think about that later. Seriously now. She has a friend to check up on, now was not the time to lose focus to whatever it was. Alright, Aaron, you mentioned you already know what's wrong with you, right? Yes. Then, can you tell me about it? It's going to make it easier for me to try healing you. Aaron tilted his head to get a better look at her. To put it simply, I use mana to enhance my body's capabilities. It seems like I overtaxed my limits though, so now my body can't handle the strain, sending it into a state of shock. I see. So the problem is more of a physical nature rather than there being something wrong with your gait. Or could it still be related somehow? Emilia murmured as she looked at his back. It very well could be related. The gate functions like a machine, a mechanism creating both magical energy and life force, positioned inside every living thing's soul. Aaron showed none of the typical signs of having exhausted his mana supply, perhaps she should really check his body first. My gait is fine, there is nothing wrong with it. Aaron said. The problem is my body, my muscles seem to have taken some damage. Perhaps you can heal that. I doubt the injuries are more than superficial. If you say so. I'll do my best. Aaron let out a small grunt as Emilia's tender hands wrapped in cold magical energies pressed against his back. This really stung, perhaps it was actually worse than he thought if it caused this level of discomfort. Sorry, please bear with it. Emilia apologized as she inspecting his body. Closing her eyes, she focused to find out what was wrong. The last time she did this she did not have the time to properly do this. Since there was no emergency, she decided to take it slow. Aaron visibly shuddered. He felt as if his body was dunked into cold water. Slowly the sensation changed, it began to feel similar to having his back massaged. He let out a sigh as he felt the numbness fade. He could feel warmth spreading across his back, his blood once again flowing properly through his veins. There, how does it feel now? Emilia asked. Aaron rolled his shoulders. The stiffness was gone, his back felt much better than before. Much better, thank you Emmy. He smiled. He blinked when he noticed the half-elf's dazed state. Emmy? Nothing. Emilia said quickly. Let's heal your arms next then. They spent the next 15 minutes working through the pseudo-saber's ailments, from his arms to his chest and ribs. To think I would trouble you like this. Aaron let out a small sigh. Sorry for bothering you Emmy. It's fine, I don't mind. Emilia replied with a smile. As a matter of fact I'm still in your debt, you already helped me so much after all. I already received suitable payment for everything I did. Aaron denied while shaking his head. Getting access to Rose's library, I'm sure there are many magicians willing to kill for that. That might be true, but I never once paid you back personally, it's always Roswell. If you think so. But still, I must insist you accept my gratitude. You're welcome. Emilia said kindly, she can't help but giggle at his stubbornness. Just make sure you don't push yourself too hard Aaron. She looked up at him. Seriously, it makes me wonder why you work so hard. Aaron met her eyes, face unreadable as he slowly turned away. I have something to find. Emilia blinked, something to find? Now she thought about it, Aaron said originally he did not come to the capital by his own will. Now that she thought about it again, the man in front of her barely ever talked about his homeland. The image of him, his father, mother, and little sister having dinner together in a restaurant while laughing flashed by his mind. Aaron can't help but smile slightly at the memory. Yes. He said in a nostalgic tone, should I tell her? Even only a little bit? He began to think about the relationship between Subaru and Emilia. It can't be denied that Subaru is good man, a good person. Compared to him, Aaron can be considered as not bad but not wholly good. Because of this kind disposition Subaru had, there have been cracks between him and Emilia since the beginning. To Emilia he seemed too kind, too trusting. For her, somebody who has been hated for such a long time, to just encounter anyone who would completely ignore her similarities to the Witch of Envy was unbelievable. He may have just been ignorant but Emilia could not be sure of that, her trust issues made her wary of Subaru. Can't be blamed for that, given what she went through. And that crack become a hole when Subaru decided to remain ignorant, to keep on fiercely supporting Emilia, who already felt bad for all the kindness he showed her, in front of royal selection, getting himself trashed in the process. It is not stupidity, but ignorance. Subaru was not stupid, far from it, he was a smart and very strategic person. He both learned and adapted fast, very fast. Just from one single defeat against Betelgeuse he was able to come up with a suitable plan to defeat the mad priest. His ignorance was what always caused him to get into the worst troubles. Not to mention he just had it bad for her. Aaron did not plan to win Emilia heart or anything like that. What he sought was a partnership, a comrade, one that would help him. And to do that, he had to at least reveal his true intentions. He began concentrating. He extended his palm, just like when calling for Excalibur, he summoned the newest object that can now be astralized. It answered his call, appearing in his palm. It was his Samsung Galaxy S6. #congratulations. You have survived through Arc 1 and 2 without letting anyone die. Here is a reward for your success. Please stamp below using your blood to receive this gift. Aaron blinked owlishly at the words written in the mysterious book he got. He never thought he would use it anymore, however he found the book resting his desk just when he was about to go to sleep. He was quite tired after fighting those demon beasts after all. His curiosity got the better of him and he decided to open it. Checking his stats he found there is no change in there. However, much to his surprise he noticed that he could now flip the page over. He did not expect anything like this. What the hell is this? Aaron muttered aloud as he read the page few times, trying to make sure his eyes were not fooling him. A reward? Really? What the hell has his life become now? An RPG? If it did, then couldn't whoever was responsible for his situation pick another world? One that was more peaceful would have been nice. Okay, maybe most worlds would not be that hyped to land in. Imagine a more realistic Naruto world. Killing is common and he'd have to either beat some completely overpowered psychopath like Olabito or heavens forbid, Kaguya herself, or would need the Rinnegan to return. How would he get his hands on that? Rip it out of Pain's skull. Ha! One Piece. He'd most likely have to get to, Raftel? To the last island. Slowly traveling through a giant, chaotic world filled with a corrupt government, revolutionists, and countless bands of pirates? Maybe some of those pirates might be alright, but most would probably rather eat his face than shake his hand. Dragon Ball? No, just no. Just how many times did Earth's population get majorly fucked if not completely wiped out during that show? Even the small fishes completely eclipsed the power levels of most other shows' main villains. Not to mention Majin Buu, he visibly shuddered when imagining the pink blob. That thing was scary as hell. Zero no Tsukaima. That could work. He could go home during the eclipse, just like Saito did. Louise could probably open the portal as well. Or, the portal would simply be connected to Sato's world instead of mine. Which would mean it would be useless. He'd just be lost all over again. He heaved a heavy sigh. Why the hell did he think about what-if scenarios? There's no use crying over spilled milk. What a waste of time. He stared back at the book, mainly to the bottom part where some empty space was prepared for him. Wordlessly he summoned Excalibur and used it to nick his thumb, drawing some blood. Is it a good idea to cut yourself with a soul-bound holy sword? Nah. He pressed his bloodied finger to the paper and, flash. A flash of light robbed Eren of his vision. He tilted his head back, dizzied by the burst of light. He shook the unpleasant sensation away, then looking down at the book he noticed something new had appeared beside it. It was a small rectangular object, he couldn't help but feel some similarity with it. Yes, as matter of fact this is a battery? He murmured. A battery for a Samsung cell phone like mine? This is what he got. A simple battery? He quickly returned to the book, hoping to find an explanation. Hashtag a magical solar-powered battery for your phone. From now on you do not need to afraid of ever running out of power. This little magical object will charge automatically just by basking in the sun. But wait, there's more. From the moment you use this battery you will be able to astralize your phone. No more need for pockets, no chance for it to be stolen. Just will it away and call it back when you need it again, hashtag. Eren remembered everything he went through until now while he goggled at the box. That's it. He faced a guts-obsessed professional fucking vampire assassin as well as a man-sized, plus one house-sized, pack of rabid mutts and all he got was a battery. Granted it was magical and it enabled him to always have his phone around, but still. Well, at least it's something. He thought moodily. At least he was luckier than Subaru. Not that this means much. It's best to not complain and accept any reward he can get his hands on. After all, beggars can't be choosers, right? Besides, the phone will be useful in the future. He might not be able to make any calls or browse Reddit, but recording videos and taking pictures on demand will likely be very useful when he delves further into the politics of this world. Not to mention he can still play his offline games when he gets bored. Gotta catch them Pokemons. He unlocked his phone, accessing the gallery he selected a picture of his little sister in her Disney princess dress, Cinderella to be precise, and showed it to Emilia sitting at his side. Here. The half-elf blinked at the object he extended to her. What is this, Eren? She asked as she took the phone from him. A Mattia that quite popular in the lands I come from. Eren answered. Emilia was impressed as she inspected the modern technology. Eren chuckled as he saw Emilia marvel at his Samsung Galaxy S6. It was quite sight for him, almost like watching a child discover a new toy. It was then the half-elf noticed their picture in there. She blinked and observed the image. It was a picture of a small cute girl, her black hair tied into a bun. She was clad in a beautiful and elegant blue dress. What caught her attention the most were the slippers she wore. They looked like they were made of glass or some kind of expensive gems. Eren, this is Angelica Pendragon, my little sister. Eren said with a proud smile. She is beautiful. Emilia commented, smiling at the cute sight of the little girl in the phone. And she was being honest, the girl in picture is beautiful. She was sure when grown up she will be quite the looker. It was then her mind began to putting the two together. Her eyes widened, she turned to Aaron who was looking out the window. Aaron, are you? She is the one I miss the most. Aaron said while shaking his head. And she is probably out there, looking for me. Looking for you? Emilia was confused. Aaron, what do you mean? The blonde only silently stared at the sky through the window, contemplating his next words. I said I was a runaway, remember? I actually did not escape from my homeland. Emilia was not stupid by any stretch. After hearing this short statement she already started putting the clues together. Then, that means you are trying to find a way home. Emilia felt something flutter in her stomach, and not in a good way. The thought of Aaron leaving her, for some reason it made her heart ache. In a way. He knew he had to choose his words carefully now, one wrong step and all the points he made with her until now will be forfeit. But at same I'm also trying to make a better living for myself. He said. If I can get my sister with me, then I won't mind staying in this place. That was complete lie. However, he was willing to take that risk since Puck is with Beatrice now and he can't have Emilia hurt. He knew how sensitive and lonely she was after all. Is that so? Aaron could see that Emilia's relieved, she obviously bought his lie. He felt his stomach twist in disgust. To lie like this, to give her all this fake hope. He doesn't like it, especially since Emilia has been nothing but a good friend to him thus far. It's still not enough to stop him though. So, how about your studies? Aaron asked, changing the topic as he took back his phone from Emilia. We never talk about them, perhaps I might be of some assistance. He offered. Ah. Well, I just finished covering the climate around Lugnica and its history. Emilia obviously was aware that Aaron was trying to change the topic. You don't need to do that, Aaron, I mean, it is my duty as a royal candidate to know about all of this. Nonsense, I'm your friend. Aaron flipped away the refusal easily. And as your friend, I am more than willing to help, you do not need to feel indebted or such small things. Aaron. Emilia truly didn't know how to respond to such a genuine offer. She rarely had friends, the only person she usually talks to is Puck. Since she got unfrozen, this man was her first friend and it really felt nice to have someone like him at her side. Speaking about royal candidates, when will the royal selection be held? He asked. He had been here for almost 2 weeks. If he recalled correctly, shouldn't Arc 3 occur only few days after the Woolgarm incident? And yet, almost a week had already passed and there was no word of the royal selection. The royal selection? Emilia repeated with a blink. Well, truthfully there is no precise date when it will be held, but it's safe to say it will be this month. She said, apparently the last candidate has been found, but she asked for some extra time to prepare herself. I see. He muttered thoughtfully. What was this? Is there some difference within the timeline due to his existence? He brushed that thought away, he can think about that later. Now then, you were talking about the climate moment ago, what about it? He asked as he returned to the topic. Lugnica has 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn and winter. Albeit the winter is actually quite a bit longer for some reason. Meanwhile in Kuraraji it was the summer that was longer. Well, I just read about the result of the crop harvest recently. Not good, I assume. You can say so. Emilia let out a sigh as she swung her legs. It's not just the numbers, but the quality decreases each year too. The demon beasts, the land, and the weather, the 3 of them are the main problem. While the first 2 can be handled using barriers and magic, the weather is just. Nature is something else. Aaron nodded in understanding. Winter in Lugnica lasts 1 month longer than normal. While the snowfall does decrease during that last month, the cold wind is still enough to give farmers a hard time. Not to mention the quality of the crops produced also decreases because the ground is already taxed from the previous seasons. Aaron contemplated this, his mind looking for an answer to the problem. It was then he remembered something that could be of use. He even had an article in PDF form on his phone. Thank you, Harvest Moon. I know there was a reason I love you. He thought with a small grin. He got curious in the topic because of the game he used to play. Emmy, I believe I have a solution for your problem. Emilia blinked, surprise evident on her face. Really? Yes. He nodded in confirmation. In my homeland there is something called a greenhouse that allows us to grow crops even in winter. What is this? I asked as I stare at the glove offered to me. A prototype. Roswell answered with his usual sing-song voice, the materia you asked me to reproduce is quite fascinating. He said. That glove, you see the stone embedded to it? It works in a similar way to the conversing mirror. He flipped open the mirror and showed it to me. Conversing mirror. A mirror used for long-range communication, right? As I recalled, this is the mirror used by the witch cult during Arc 3 to communicate with each other. Yup. Roswell nodded. I think we can use the transmitting function of this mirror for your materia. How so? Roswell's smile widened a bit and he started to explain it to me. It was the stone. No, it was more like a jewel. I must say I continued to get surprised by this world. While I'm not one to delve deeply into the Naciverse magic system, I'm a fan, but I'm not manic enough to become obsessed with it. It's only fiction. You can't blame me for that, but right now I'm perfectly aware that Re-Zero's magic system was completely different. There may have been some similarities, but nothing concrete. To put it simply, Re-Zero's magic system is less refined. While in terms of pure power it is comparable to what a caster-level servant can do, not surprising since we are still in an age of gods, it just lacks our certain finesse and subtlety. In a crude manner, all magic here is lethal. Hell, even a simple fireball spell, Goa, is the incantation, contains force equal to a rocket-propelled grenade, capable of leaving a 3-foot crater where it hit. The Fura spell, the one that Ram cast, is capable of slicing through 2 or 3 trees like they are made of paper. And it's fast as well. If my judgment was true, then the speed of the spell can rival a bullet. That was fast, alright, not need to go into any more details. A modern magus from the Naciverse would have a hard time casting a spell at that caliber. Unless you were a monster like the current head of the Bartholomew house, or relied heavily on expensive catalysts, it just wasn't done. And those are simple spells, common ones that do not require overt mastery of the elements. Roswell himself said that he practically could destroy half of Arlem village in a matter of minutes if he wished to. There are a few spells he can cast capable of such a feat without making him even break a sweat. In a sense, all of the magicians walking this world are human weapons. It doesn't matter if they are tossing fireballs or hastening themselves to superhuman levels, they are all dangerous. Not at the level of a servant, but close enough. The witch cultists were able to keeping up with Subaru on foot, while he was riding an earth dragon. Yeah, enough said about that. The reinforcement they have access to is indeed more potent and more dangerous, maybe even to the point capable of harming a servant, just like Kazuki. However, like I said moment ago, they lack in terms of subtlety and refinement. Their magic is strong but crude, it almost like comparing a dagger to chainsaw. The former is clean and simple while the latter is destructive and barbaric. I doubt I will be encountering anything like the fifth magic in this world, and thank the blue for that. Back on track, I certainly don't know why, but it seems rune magic is rarely used here. I should have noticed this the moment I saw the stones embedded around the forest acting as a barrier. They use jewel craft though, or at least some version of it. The mana inside the jewel acts as a conductor to transmitting its signal by connecting to the mana in the atmosphere. Just like the jewel used for the mirror I hold now, it's somehow linked to the other jewels embedded in the other mirrors, transmitting something like a radio signal would. It gets powered by drawing on the user's OD. The range they have is not unlimited, the mirrors can't be over 10 km from each other. It's more like walkie-talkie rather than a cell phone or short radio. So all I need to do is to give a signal to that device? I asked as I pointed to the, how the hell I describe it. It was a metal box that... You know what? I don't have any words suitable enough to describe this odd thing. It was supposed to be the prototype of a whack-a-mole machine. Yes, that whack-a-mole you found in arcades, the one that you usually play if you need stress relief. I knew I could do better, maybe something like a printing machine if I only knew anything about them. But I did not. Not at all. All I can do is give him a very, very rough explanation of how the machine could work. This whack-a-mole, I know or at least can tell about it is because its school project in past, I used to make a thing similar to this with my friends. But this is something I don't recognize at all. Why, whack-a-mole, you ask? It can be used as a training device for one. As funny and illogical as it sounds, but this thing actually can train reflexes very well if upgraded. Something that I'm sure can be done with the help of magic. It can be used for military purposes, but at the same time it also can be produced for games. This was clearly going to become a hit, admit it, children certainly will be very eager to get their hands on a big toy used by big guys. They can use whack-a-mole for this, a game and training machine at same time. Using it as a game will make Emilia public standing rise, using it as a training machine will make her standing with the military raise too. Certainly very good things, not to mention the greenhouse project that I discussed with her. Yeah, once both these projects will be finished, Emilia's popularity will go through the roof. Go on, try to channel your mana into there. Roswell encouraged with a grin, breaking me from my stupor. I wore the glove wordlessly, taking few seconds to stare at the blue jewel embedded into its back. Closing my eyes, I drew a short breath before beginning to focus, pulling on the OD inside me and letting it flow to the gem and... boom! It exploded. Roswell's smile and grin dimmed at this, while I blinked at the sight of the device that was now nothing more than ash and pile of garbage while creating 3-foot-sized crater in the ground. That was certainly more violent than I thought. Roswell commented, he sounded bitter and disappointed at the result. Please tell me that was not the only prototype you had. I said with a slight plea in my voice. Of course not. Roswell replied much to my relief. I have another one. I made this especially for you, seeing your magical energy is more potent than most people's. He said. It could be because you have the control of a drunken monkey. He added with a mocking voice. I felt my eye twitch at the blatant insult. It's expensive, I take it. 5 holy coins. Roswell answered dully. Yikes. Don't even bother to hide my grimace. Sorry. What else I can say? 1 holy coin can feed dozens of people. And this thing cost 5. I may hate him, but that doesn't mean I don't know my position. So. What now? Now. Roswell allowed himself to sigh while holding his forehead. Nothing, I will contact my friend and report this error, have this device made more sturdy for you. He said, more importantly, I already made one that can be used by average people. He informed. It did work fortunately. I see. I murmured with a small hum. You certainly work fast, Rose. I mean, it has only been a few days since I told you of this project, but... to already finish the prototype with limited knowledge about this device. Granted, you can use magic to replace the electricity and everything else, but still. It was really quite fast. Wheelio, what can I say? I know people that are the best for this job. Roswell seems to take my words as a compliment, judging by how proud he sounded. I'm a very competent person, Aaron-san. I told you so, didn't I? Sure you are. I admitted with a sigh, it can't be denied. He is an ass alright, but he knows what he's doing. Ho ho ho. Roswell let out a smug laugh. By the way, Aaron-san, as lord of this manor, it's my duty to inform you that we will have a guest tomorrow. A guest? I asked. Are they the people that I think? An emissary from the capital, to be precise. Roswell explained. They will be here by morning. I see. It seems Arc 3 finally got started. Did something happen? We don't know, there are no details about it in the letter. Roswell answered, however, it's surely about the royal selection. He then tilted his head, and for a moment I saw the glint in his mismatched eyes. Tell me, Aaron-san, do you support Emilia-sama to be king? I won't say no to that. I answered carefully, what was this man planning? I already gave the answer of this question few days ago. Like I said, I do support Emmy's wish to be king and she has a good heart. I repeated what I said few days ago. However, if you ask for my full allegiance, then it's still uncertain. I still haven't seen the other candidates. And let's just say they're indeed a candidate more suitable than Emilia-sama. Roswell said in a mysterious tone. What would you do then? Are you going to switch your allegiance to them? Are you going to leave Emilia-sama? We both know Emmy is not a child. I replied in the best calm voice I could muster. She knows how harsh the world is, she knows that she can lose someone. Deep inside, we both know she is ready for the worst. That was not entirely wrong. Emilia, despite her childish behavior, knew that the world is harsh and unforgiving. She experienced it personally after all. If I leave her, I will make sure she is ready before I do. I will make sure she has a foundation to stand on, she is my friend after all. No matter what, I won't leave her without something to hold her. It was safe to say that I will leave her one day. I will return to my own world, and Emilia will without a doubt be heartbroken, However, when that time comes, I have no intention to leave her without anything. I will make sure she can take care of herself and has people who support and be there for her when she needs them. That is the least I can do for her. Is that so? Roswell seemed very amused and happy rather than angry or disapproving of my negative response. You are certainly very interesting, Aaron-san. That was meant to be compliment obviously, however to be praised by him, somehow it did not make me feel happy. Let's call it a night now, Aaron-san. Roswell said with a chuckle. I will see you at dinner. I watched the clown archmage leaving, retreating to his manor, leaving me behind in the garden. Arc 3 I am a Sin Archbishop of the witch cult, representing Sloth, Betelgeuse Romani Conscii. What do you know? What do you know about me? This is the kind of man I am. I have no strength but I want everything. I have no knowledge, but all I do is dream. There is nothing I can do, but I struggle in vain. I hate myself. That girl died just now. This is the result of your actions. You didn't do anything and so that girl died. You're slothful. All I do is talk a big game, and make myself sound like a big shot, when in truth I can't do anything. I never do anything yet I complain like a pro. Who do I think I am? It's amazing that I can live like this and not feel ashamed. Right? Various scenes flash to my mind and I clench my fist, my jaw tightening. I feel my whole body going stiff for a few seconds. I would be lying if I said I was not afraid. Even when facing those Woolgarman forest I still felt fear despite knowing I'm far out of their league. And now I'm about to face something far more dangerous than those animals. Right now, I'm very, very afraid. Aaron-sama. I turned around when heard my name called and was greeted by the sight of a familiar blue-haired maid, Rem. I greeted back. Live. Love you. The image of Rem's broken and bloodied body flashed to my mind and I visibly shuddered. In the anime it was very heartbreaking despite only being an animated 2D character, but now I stand in front of Rem, not in the form of a 2D character, but a real person from top to bottom. It's just imagining it. It made me feel sick. Aaron-sama. Are you okay? I blinked as I was broken from my thoughts. Looking down, I noticed Rem was already close to me, giving me a concerned look. She will be fine, that will not happen. She will never go through such suffering, I will not allow it. Rem, I felt my throat dry for a moment but I quickly banished all negative emotions. Shaking my head, I gave her a smile. I'm fine. My smile must be strained judging by the worried look she gave me. Are you sure? Aaron-sama, you look so pale and sick. She said, concern was so obvious in her voice. I closed my eyes, drawing a long breath to calm myself. Exhaling, I reopened my eyes. A bitter smile was on my lips. It's just a bad memory, Rem, one that still haunts me. I replied in a dry voice. But I'm fine now, no need to worry. I added when I noticed her increasing concern. I raised my hand and patted her on the head. Thank you for worrying about me, I appreciate it. Rem still worried, I could see it. However, it was covered by the beaming smile she gave me. I held back a chuckle, she was almost like a puppy. No matter what going to happen in this arc, I cannot falter, I cannot break. I cannot stop now, my family is waiting for me, and the life of my friends in this world is on the line. I managed to get through Arc 1 and 2 without dying even once. Granted, they are nothing against the challenges of Arc 3 but I'm no weakling. If I plan things carefully, I can survive this. Let's go and have dinner, Rem. I said as I started to walk, Rem beginning to follow me. What did you cook, by the way? Dinner has yet to be ready, Aaron-sama, we will have stew. I see, stew huh? Well, it will be good to have ice cream after that, eating something chilly after something hot. Rem shot me curious look. Ice cream? I paused in my track, giving the blue-haired maid an incredulous look. They don't have ice cream. But they have burgers. I saw Mimi eat one in the anime. How did they? Then again, this also world that doesn't have mayonnaise, so. Rem, I think I have some ideas you can use. I said with grin. And knowing you, I'm sure you will succeed. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.